Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to a GameStar presentation. Tonight, we have for you a game in the all-female Southeast Asian online tournament. It will be the Thailand team Vegetable Fish Fizz versus the Chinese team S.M.G Girls, who I'll be calling Submachine Girls. My name is Coldblood, and joining me for this cast will be Domika. How are you?
I am feeling absolutely fantastic, and it's a pleasure to be here for this wonderful female Dota 2 league.
Oh, very exciting stuff. It's good to have an all-female tournament. We are rocketing through the bands here, Dom. We've got Clockwork, Alki, Elder Titan, and the Invoker band out here. We've also already got the Timbersaw picked up. He is a hotly contested pick in a lot of the games I see. The Veno and the Weaver also very popular. I love seeing Venomancers. He is very exciting.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant as a support. I mean, so much damage, the ability to use the Venomancer wards as a vision thing, and of course, his ultimate. I mean, you can't deny how fantastic that is just for breaking through some of that health regen. Hopefully, this game will go through. We did have a disconnect from the SMG side. Hopefully, I am saying her name right. Maya has unfortunately disconnected, and there was some issues in loading this particular lobby. So I do apologize to everyone if we do have a pause as soon as we come out of this ban pick phase. But speaking of bans, we were actually discussing during the break between the previous game and this one the use of Elder Titan, and we do see it banned out first from the Vegetable Fish Fizz side. Gotta love that name.
Vegetable Fish Fizz.
Yeah, so which I think is a smart move, of course, Elder Titan being an absolutely brutal hero, especially after the patch that came out, and of course Clockwork banned out on the other side, and we were discussing and saw in the last game how useful Clockwork can be in breaking up a team fight, isolating targets, and basically initiating in and doing some brutal damage while there.
And not to mention the utility of Global Flare. It is a very, very useful ability, which unfortunately we won't get to see in this one. Naga Siren will be the VFF pickup, which I love seeing. There is some clutch songs that can be pulled out by talented players, which I assume we are viewing right now. We're into the bands here. Dom, do you have any predictions, or is it way too early to tell?
Well, you know me, I am a little bit newer to the Dota 2 casting, and of course, well, not particularly the game, but a little bit on the competitive scene, so I don't like to predict too much the ban and picks. I do think, though, with these two particular teams, especially with high ranking they are, we are going to see what I suppose would be a default ban pick. They're going to be picking heroes that we see on a regular basis through the tournament. They're all going to be high utility, high damage heroes. Coming out. Perhaps we'll see a Visage ban or a pickup coming out. Crystal Maiden getting banned out just there. That's another big player gone. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Visage on either side coming through.
No, it's definitely what I was thinking, because Visage and OD look the same. I always think they're linked, so wouldn't be surprising to see that one taken out. Of course, Visage is a very, very strong hero if you can manage the micro of his familiars. As the reserved... Oh, sorry, we're not into the reserve time just yet for VFF, but now we will be drawing on it. They're trying to decide who they want to ban out. We'll have to see if the Bounty Hunter or the Slider come out to keep a track of that Slippery Weaver. Or if... I didn't actually know Slider revealed stealth until I saw him the other day, Dom, in a female game nonetheless, so I'm wondering if that one will slip through. The Bounty Hunter is still available as Rubik and Earthshaker are taken away.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move taking out the Earthshaker. I mean, Earthshaker have played very, very well, can separate a team from their fight, can really section people off for the picking, and they already have some high damage dealing there, you know, obviously with the slows of Venomancer and the Weaver, and of course now the Viper pickup. And that's a lot of ongoing damage coming out. When you team up the Veno and the Viper together, that is absolutely brutal. A Venomancer ulti with an unfortunate attack on Viper is going to leave your hero dead.
10 seconds
in the worst of situations, or the best, depending on which team you're on.
5 seconds.
And of course, the Rubik ban coming out, pretty much a static ban when you have a hero that has a decent AoE. We spoke about this in a previous game, that any team that picks a strong AoE hero, we have one on both sides here with the Venomancer on the SMG side and the Naga Siren on the VFF side. Rubik is not a hero you want to go against. I mean, it's basically doubling up the best ability of that hero on the one side, you know, on the opposite side. So you just don't want to see it.
Hmm.
It's always going to be banned out.
Bad idea to let it through. I like how you point out the poisonous synergy between Veno and Viper. Shadow Shaman going to be picked up. I've seen many silly people jump into the middle of the mass serpent wards. Hopefully none of the submachine gun girls will be doing that. Of course the Hex.
Sometimes you don't even have a choice. Fantastic Shadow Shaman trapping someone in on one of those wards. Oh, it's one of my pet peeves. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's funny watching the anti-mages do it.
Oh dear. Oh, I don't even want to think about how much face palm that would ensue.
Yes.
That'd be
Oh, I
horrible.
play with people who are unbelievable.
Well, I'd
Put it
like to
nicely.
I'd like to think that we're both kind of noobs, so we probably play with people that luckily none of these girls would ever have to face off against. So
Shout out to Nom 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 One who's giving us a hello with the kitty kappa. We have Pugna who is picked up, and shout out to D'Amica who is casting with me. Hello Dom.
hi.
And I do like the Pugna. Oh well, I was gonna say he could be going mid, but it may have been a troll game. I saw Pugna go mid. He absolutely demolished it. Got a Dagon and then an Ag Scepter. It was great fun.
Big thing to kind of note here with the two teams, I mean, both teams can sort of do it, but should the opportunity arrive, the split push capability of these teams is massive. Of course, on Vegetable Fish Fizz, the Nagasari and the Shadow Shaman, if the wards are up, can actually split push two lanes at once. Nagasari brutal with the images later on, especially if you do pick up a mana style. It really depends on whether she's going to play that role in a slightly more supportive positioning, or if she's going to go for what we're seeing a lot more of lately, which is the carry role, which I don't really think we're going to see. I think it's going to be a bit more support there with the Gyrocopter being picked up. And then on the S.M.G side, Venomancer, Weaver, and Pugna. Pugna have been absolutely brutal when going up against towers, does significant damage. And of course, Venomancer, a quick pusher, and Weaver, fantastic damage dealer. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a lot of kind of early aggression and early pushing from both these teams.
Yeah, well, there's a heck of a lot of AoE potential from the VFF girls. I mean, Timbersaw just packs AoE in altogether. Shadow Shaman has a decent bit of it himself, and Gyro known for scaling with the AoE. Bounty Hunter banned out by the Submachine Girls, who they're not actually submachine gun guys.
You have no idea, do you?
We have absolutely no
making
idea.
it up.
Yes.
If anyone knows what S.M.G actually stands for, please let us know. We did try to ask the team, but of course, slight communication barriers always ensue when you're doing a international event. So feel free to let us know if you happen to have discussed it with one of these girls or seen them play before.
Yeah, that would be handy to know, but till then they are the submachine gun girls. Undying going to be picked up. I actually played him a little bit ago, Dom. He is a very awesome hero, able to redirect the flow of life, able to steal strength, and the ultimate makes him ignore him and you die, focus him, and his useful allies will take you
Oh,
down.
Magnus pick up on the last one. I always find this very interesting after the patch. Magnus did receive, I wouldn't say a significant nerf, but we have seen Magnus drop lower and lower and lower on the totem pole as far as use goes. But with this particular lineup, he's actually incredibly intelligent. What we're looking at here from the Vegetable Fish Fizz girls is what we were saying before with a lot of AoE here. We do have the Timbersaw, we do have the Gyrocopter with the cooldown going out. So they're going to be really looking for grouping people up. What they can do with the Magnus is obviously do an RP, trying to bring this team together, clump them all. If it doesn't happen, they have the net and they have the Shadow Shaman to grab those players from leaving the group up, or ones that are being maybe caught outside of it and pose a possible threat, such as Viper. Doesn't get picked up, doesn't matter. Net Viper down, grab Viper, can't stop the Timbersaw and the Gyrocopter from doing that AoE damage, which we all know and love. And we're going to have that pause that I did mention during the ban pick may happen as Maya has disconnected. And fingers crossed she can get back into this game soon.
Apparently has stolen Happy's courier while going disconnected. As we will go through the players now. JDS not amused with the disconnects. So representing the side of Vegetable Fish Fizz, who are currently number 5 in the ladder. They are from Thailand. It will be Green Bean on the Magnus. On the Timbersaw in the offlane we will have Dolly, who was having some troubles connecting earlier on. We have Sinks on the Naga Siren, who we're looking for some big plays from. Shadow Demon will be Pinkle XD, and the Gyro will be YY. And would you like to go through S.M.G for us
Sorry,
then?
my apologies. Just talking there with JDS on the admin side. So, sorry, we're looking at S.M.G, I'm
Yes.
assuming? Yes. All right. Oh, fantastic. Give me the names that we weren't sure how to pronounce. I appreciate that greatly. So, on the S.M.G side, we have Bayoni on the Viper, Goose on the Venomancer, Lina, I'm going to say Lena actually, because I think that's really funky. Lena on the Weaver, who is unfortunately the disconnected on this one. I apologize. I thought it was Maya. Maya on the Pugner, and Happy on the Undying.
I think you did a pretty good job.
I'd like to think so too. I'm sure the girls would disagree. I'm probably saying it completely wrong, and I do apologize.
That's if they can get over their anger at me calling them submachine guns.
It's probably the worst thing for a caster when, coming across a game with people with interesting names that you can't pronounce. I can actually say that I appreciate the Dota 2 community in that most Dota players have basically interesting names, easy to pronounce names. For those of you who don't know, I am relatively new to the Dota 2 caster scene. I have actually been casting CSGO more recently, and can I just say, those FPS boys and girls, the names they pick would make you facepalm. And they're just letters and numbers and crazy symbols absolutely everywhere. You don't even know. It's just
They
ridiculous.
must get fun in the heat of the action.
It's just the worst. Start
113
making
is
up
shooting
random names.
549.
No, the worst one is when they use the number seven, and it can either mean S or L or T,
Oh jeez.
or whatever they decide to be. We actually had one team that had double seven used in their names, and two players were using it, and one was called Miss Me More, but with double seven, so it was MI77, and the other one was called Collar, which was CO double 7. EH, and so we didn't know how we were calling Miss Me More Mill Me More because we just didn't know. It was just the worst.
I would forfeit
It's the
anyone who
worst.
uses any numbers. At least a 7.
Indeed, indeed. And we do apologize again to the viewers for this pause. But we do have Lena now has reconnected. So it
Carrying the chicken, of course.
looks like we're going to be good to go.
Okay, so we have gone through the players. We'll have to see if there's any quick smokes of deceit picked up. Lena going to be chucking down the cool robot courier there. Let's have a look at the other courier. It will be, I think that's an elephant. An elephant with a Venomancer thing on its back. That looks very awesome. Smoke of Deceit going to be picked up by the Venomancer, who is of course Goose, one of the easier to pronounce names on the side of Submachine Gun. We have the Decay picked up, very difficult to deal with early on. Of course, since Nagasire and Shadow Shaman are fairly squishy heroes, it only makes them easier to down there. The sentries were picked up by VFF. And we'll have to see if the Smoke of Deceit comes into play early on here, or if it will be held onto.
I'm really appreciating the use of the new Tango system by basically giving shared tangos to their Viper, allowing their Viper to, significantly have a Wrath Band and 2 Iron Branches there, giving the very slight upper hand on the Viper, which is very, very important. It's important. They do have a relatively greedy team there between the Viper and Weaver. As far as farm goes, they're going to need early items on that. So, getting that Viper the upper hand in the lane, very important, very crucial. And we are going to have the tri lane on bottom. And looks like we're going to have Magnus and Viper in mid against each other. This one's going to be a little bit of a pain for Green Bean. Going against a Viper is always frustrating, but if anyone can do it, and Magnus certainly can do it as long as she keeps that mana regeneration up. She can certainly harass continuously. So we're going to see a lot of rune control hopefully coming out from the vegetable fish side. That's what I'm going to call them. I'm just going to call them veggie side, the veggie fish.
That would be very handy, I
Oh
think.
my goodness, these names.
Okay, so we can see the illusion rune picked up by Sinks early, going to allow her to pick up the ogres there. As, the last hit's already going in Bayone's and Mayai's favour. So the Pugner is the one farming. I don't know why I didn't realize that sooner, but I was going to say I'm really sad that it's a support Pugner, but it's not a support Pugner at all, so I'm very happy.
Let's not and say you did.
We'll have to see if he manages to pick up the Dagon there, as Lena on the Weaver doing a better job at denying than she is farming. Just has the Shikuchi. We'll have to see what comes next. Probably the German will attack. Dolly already has the reactive armor, going to be very handy against the Viper. As someone drops out like a kid in school, apparently. It was JDS, so I think we can live without him in the game for now. As,
And just Tammy asking real quick into chat if this was game one of this situation. And
unfortunately, yes, they took ages to start.
yeah, unfortunately it is indeed. We did have quite a lot of dropouts there, so.
Don't worry, it's only quarter
Oh,
to
and the
one.
question coming out to Tammy, what does S.M.G stands for? So hopefully the fantastic furry fish. No, no, no idea.
Well, keep
It's
in
gonna have
mind,
to
Dom,
stay
we got a
submachine.
3 minute delay, so they're gonna have to wait a while to catch up to us.
That is true, but it's gonna. She doesn't have any idea, unfortunately.
Radiant's
So
mid tower.
gonna have to say
backed
submachine
up.
girls.
Yep, submachine gun girls, that'll do me. As just letting Tammy know that this is indeed game one. It is quarter to one over in the capital of Australia. I think it may be different for you, Dom, being in Queensland.
Yeah, it's actually almost coming into midnight now. Quarter to 12 here, so not too late for me.
Oh, I'd swap with you if I could. So it's interesting actually to see YY on the gyro deciding to go for points in the flak cannon rather than homing missile or stats. It's going to be pushing the lane a little bit, which could be detrimental. We can see the creep pulling here, going to have some XP stolen away by Goose on the Veno, who picks up the Plague Ward. Will be a little bit handy in pushing that one back. As how is the Pugna doing in farm 12 to the what is the gyro at? The why can't I see gyro's thing there? He's at 6, so Pugna doing a great job here.
Yeah, we're probably going to be, it's going to be a little bit slower here than before. I mean, we see basically a very typical tri-lane situation here. We've got the supports farming in the jungle. Nice rotation from the S.M.G girls that they're rotating around behind it with the new range increase on XP given from killing the neutrals. They're picking up that XP as well as they're going down. And a lot of nice kind of ward placement there with the sentries. De-warding as soon as the enemy wards are coming up. So that's going to play a big favor for them because not having that vision there is going to make S.M.G a little bit more hesitant about stepping into that jungle because if they try and rotate for the gank but they get caught out by that Shadow Shaman grip, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So they're going to want to try and get rid of some of these wards or utilize the Veno wards very intelligently to try and spot out where the enemy is at all times.
Yeah, I was just gonna say actually the ensnare from Naga Siren and then the shackle from the Shadow Shaman. That is a heck of a lot of lockdown, and then you've got a gyro with the level 2 rocket barrage, soon to be level 5. That is a huge amount of damage. So, like you say, S.M.G gonna have to be very, very smart with the plague wards, exactly like you said.
Yeah,
Have a
some
look.
wonderful play-by-play here on the top lane too between the Weaver and the Timbersaw. I mean, these are two heroes that kind of can juke each other, go back and forth for quite a long time without ever really needing to back off. Of course, Timbersaw being able to chain himself away, or chain herself away, I should say, back and forth. And of course, you know, Weaver being able to basically just duck away at any moment in time.
Be an annoying little rat bag would be a good thing to say.
Yeah.
So we can see Bonnie may be in trouble in the mid lane here as Magnus will get the charge off and Snare goes off. Other shackles will be used. Charge back into the tower. Bounty going to try and take one with him, but the shackles will enable the VFF to pick up the first blood. There is a return there. Naga Siren comes to the surface to kill the Chinese team submachine gun girls, and very well done there on the roam, but nice reaction from Bounty on the Viper to pick up a return kill.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you see a lot now since the patch is that support players are playing a lot more actively roaming role. I mean, it's common to see 2 people inside mid. It's possible to see a lot of support players basically spending the entire first 10 minutes of the game moving back and forth between 2 lanes, helping get ganks. Farming the jungle is not necessarily their priority anymore. They can actually get a lot of their experience and a lot of their gold from the early ganking, and the setup from both these teams is really possible to do that. But of course, VFF, with those holds that we were talking about, are in a better position to have the early game ganking, and we're going to see it here in mid again as Naga Siren moves in. We need the shackle. There it is, coming out from the Shadow Shaman. Magnus and Naga beating down this Viper. Perfect net there coming out from Sinks. And of course, Magnus now picking up the skill on the Viper, and Viper is going to go down with ease. And that just goes to show that perfect whole combination that we were discussing is going to be absolutely brutal in this fight if S.M.G don't manage to counteract it.
Okay, so stack point and click stuns and win the game is the name of the game for the Thai girls. Doing a great job at beating down on the poor Viper. Not going to get nearly as farmed as in the previous game. He's going to TP back to the mid. See a DD rune on the Undying at the moment, almost at the level 4. Poor YY going to be zoned out a little bit here, is 16 to the 26 of the Pugna, so not doing too bad. Looks like Pugna has picked up the headdress already, going to go straight for the mechanism, which against AoE is a fantastic idea. We can see the teleport going off at the top by the Shadow Shaman to rejoin his partner in crime, Sinks. And we'll have to see if they can repeat the trick on Weaver here. He does have the time lapse, and she does have the mana to use it. So this will have to be executed very well.
And a quick shout out to Gots from the Team Royale, from the Australian Counter-Strike global offensive scene, who was actually popped over to have a peek at what this Dota 2 is all about. Glad you could join us.
Looks like Minesweeper in 3D, he says. Typical FPS player.
Typical FPS player has no idea the talent
top
going
lane,
on here.
we're going to see the ensnare go off. Dust of Appearance will
Beautiful
be used.
dust.
Chuchi movement speed will go off. Time lapse will teleport Lena back to the tower. Will that save her? We're not quite sure. She's just going to be waiting in the trees at the moment. Has 6 charges on the wand. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, looks like we're missing some action, Dom, as Undying will take down the gyro, and the Chinese girls doing a fantastic job at abusing the supports being at top, and Weaver will end up escaping. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful use of the Fog of War from Weaver. I mean, that time lapse was so wonderfully planned, and of course we did see Timbersaw there unfortunately miss the chain hook into the forest there to try and counteract it. But then Weaver hugging not the tower, but actually the trees, utilizing that Fog of War so the Shadow Shaman couldn't come up and do exactly what Shadow Shaman is trying to do now, which is get a shackle out, allowing the Timbersaw to grab it. Unfortunately, this is not going to work out for them, and Pinkle, I should say, going to take quite a lot of damage trying to get that shackle off. Can Weaver catch her? Yes, she can. Lena getting the beautiful kill there on the Shadow Shaman, and the dust comes out, however. Nugget's there, Viper here to support. Weaver going to time-lapse away. This is going to leave Nugget in a very dangerous situation. She needs to rotate quickly because she's going to have people following her here. Here comes the Venomancer, the wall goes out. There's the slow. This Nugget is not going to get away from this situation.
That was a great Venomous Gale.
Beautiful rotate.
Going out from Goose there. And Scumbag happy trying to come up and secure that kill for himself. But no, it will go to the Veno, who manages to land his Gale. And this Weaver is doing a fantastic job at abusing that very sillily designed ultimate of Weaver, which has a massive skill ceiling. Obviously, you have to have precise timing to not end up back in a terrible spot. As the denies go off at the bottom lane by the gyro. Still doesn't have the homing missile, does have the cooldown though. We will see Goose rotating down here. Will they go for the gyro? It looks like both the supports have realized that they've left gyro alone for a little bit too long. They're actually going to pop the Smoke of Deceit here, Dom. Will they be able to take down Pugna? The Nether Ward is available, so I don't know if they can do it, but they do have a lot of lockdown. They are going to get knocked up here. The blast will go out. Call down missile will pick them up the kill, and that was a very nicely done gank there.
Yeah, as I was saying in the pick phase, the combination of YFF is just amazing. I mean, the holds there, the cooldown, the skills, like, they have the perfect setup to be taking out a hard-hitting team that S.M.G has. In saying that, however, if they do start falling behind, if S.M.G do start picking these players up, utilizing the Weaver and the Viper to do so, they're going to end up in a little bit of trouble here, where S.M.G have the items and have the health and damage output to actually survive being grabbed for this long. I mean, the big thing here for S.M.G is that they're going to want to be taking out at least Shadow Shaman or Naga Siren early on so that they can basically take away that double stun capability, because the timing of this team, as we've seen, is already fantastic.
Oh, and Snare's going to go off on Bounty in the mid lane. Once again, the combo will be going down. The reverse polarity was used by Greenbean a little bit too early, I feel, though. And the Viper Strike will go off. Magnus taking a massive amount of damage from the tower. Will it be enough? Yes, the corrosive skin of Viper will manage to pick up a return kill there. Naga Siren again getting the kill, so Greenbean really getting the raw deal there.
Indeed. I would love to see if Greenbean could maybe utilize a little bit more better positioning of the Magnus. I mean, we're seeing the Skewer kind of push these heroes back into their own tower, kind of pushing them up their lane. But when you have Naga Siren and you have a Shadow Shaman there isolating their movement, you do have the freedom to actually rotate around the hero itself. And so as soon as that shackle comes off, you can actually skewer it back into your own teammates, especially when you're versing a hero that is not really going to do a whole lot of damage to your support players.
Okay, so we can see Sinks on the Naga Siren does now have the song. So we'll be able to lock down the enemy should that be required. Mechanism is about 600 gold away from completion by May here. Having a look at the hero level, looking pretty good for the green team. As they've got a couple of heroes at 8 with a 9, and the next one down. Oh, the Magnus is actually doing quite badly on the XP, but we kind of expected that being against Viper. It's hard enough when you're ranged, but when you're a melee Magnus, it's very difficult. So at the top lane, we can see Weaver could potentially be jumped on as, what were you saying?
No, it's alright. We're just going to wait to see if that Weaver goes down. No, we are going to see a rotation here coming through River. Oh my god, why getting the name completely wrong. Vegetable Fish Fizz in a lot of trouble here. That song is now being utilized to gank one player and they don't realize there's another 3 coming up to get them. This is going to be chaos for them if they get smashed out. Viper easily going to take down. Double kill right there for Bione. And the last player going down not long after. I mean, that was just absolute chaos for them.
That was a very odd time to use the song of the Siren.
Oh, it would have made sense if they had, if they didn't have that team come out. But this is where, we talk about vision, and I say this a lot in any games that you may have previously watched me cast, which unfortunately isn't very many, being that I'm a completely noob caster. But vision support, so important. If you don't know where the enemy is on the map, you're going to have trouble. But Magnus, coming out with a quick TP, manages to RP1 and get it down with a skewer, but this is going to pose problems for them. It's going to be a 1v2 trade, not really worth it. Can Dolly try and pick up another kill, or is she going to throw her life away? And it looks like she's going to be throwing it away. I don't think there's anything they can do here. And oh, Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman, what are you doing? You're coming to try and help, but you're up against the Viper. Oh my goodness, that was a 1v4 trade. That was a poor move from Vegetable Fish Fizz. Getting far too excited, I think, there. And throwing themselves into combat. And maybe if all the teammates had been there, that RP and skill would have paid off. But unfortunately, walking 1v1 into the death trap, there's a poisonous, destruction of Viper Venomancer combination. Unfortunate.
Jeez, I'm sure YY is shaking her head like, what are my teammates doing? The Thai girl's getting a little crazy there and throwing their lives away needlessly. The XP is starting to swing in Submachine Gun's favor. Gold is very far ahead in their favor as they pick up the last outer tower of the Thailand Vegetable Fish Fizz, as Weaver will be taking down the copies of Naga Siren here. Bione will pick up the Vanguard from the secret shop, which of course will increase the survivability against the Gyro significantly, as the pings go off by the Viper on the bottom lane tier 2, as YY just barely passing by the Chinese team marauding through her jungle. Viper continuing to stay up at the top. Naga Siren and the Magnus going to be pushing in the mid here. They've got a sizable wave. The Glyph Fortification is not available for the Dire team. Bounty is going to teleport away, and by herself she will be enough to defend it off. Although of course we do have, I think, the Undying coming in. It will be indeed. And the Chinese submachine gun, they're taking over the map apart from the top.
It is a big concern here, the turnaround. I mean, YFF had a really good start there with the early gankings, but Viper and Weaver are one of those heroes, or two of those heroes I should say, that if they do start getting the upper hand in the kills, if their gold starts leveling up, gonna have troubles. Top lane now.
Yeah, top lane does go down. The Nether Ward is going to hit Timbersaw in the face, hit him once again, and Dolly will not be able to TP out of that one. Pugna gets that kill.
Oh, the courier going down for the Dire side.
Oh, did too.
Did indeed. That's always painful when you lose your courier. And here on bottom lane, we're going to have yet another engagement coming out. Cooldown, unfortunately, not going to hit anything useful. Naga Siren here trying to catch down this Veno. Can she get the net out? The Weaver is stunned but in Biz, so Naga can't do anything about it. The song coming up though. Gonna prep these players up for an RP, but only grabs Veno. Weaver managed to skip a pie, but Veno going to go down very, very quickly. But that was 2 ultis utilized there. So if we do have a rotation from S.M.G or they decide to push, it could be a problem for VFF. And we see it here right now. Veno and Viper coming in. There isn't an RP, there isn't a song. What are they going to do here? Here comes the Gyrocopter trying to get the damage going out. Weaver's going to have to backtrack here, going to have to get away, but Viper chasing from behind. We see this so often, focusing on the wrong target here. We want to be seeing the Viper going down first, not the Weaver. And they're going to lose both their players, only for 1 kill yet again.
Blink Dagger going to be finished up by the Magnus on that, which is, of course, a key item on him. But, yeah, like you said, Dom, the drums of endurance went off from the Chinese girls, and they charged forward 2v4 and managed to get 2 kills out of it, including the Gyro, who was farming very well, but probably not going to be too happy with losing that much gold. The TP goes off by Nagasiren up at the top. Pugna going to be running forward, takes a shockwave to his behind, and Snare going to go off on him, gets charged back into the tower. Now the ward going to be zapping, and it looks like they will get away for now the ultimate Flesh Golem utilized by Happy there, which of course increases the damage that people near her take. Bounty going to continue pushing at the bottom lane while pinging the tier 2 up at the top, so continuing to give her team commands while pushing. The Gyrocopter will be TPing in here. Pugna going to take the tier 2 at the top, and the tier 2 at bot going to start to take more and more damage, as VFF definitely on the back foot at this point.
Yeah, no, this is very unfortunate for them, but I mean, here's those split pushing capabilities. Like I said, both teams have it. And on the S.M.G side, it's a much more aggressive damage dealing than it is utilization. I mean, VFF have the utilization there to be what we're seeing right now in bot against the Viper. We're going to see exactly why they picked these heroes. There was so much utilization for stopping and grabbing these players. But oh dear, the Pugna is responding. Poor Shadow Shaman. Oh, absolutely nuked down. That beautiful ward placement there from the Pugna. Gonna zap out that Shadow Shaman. And there goes the ward for absolutely, or I should say Shadow Shaman's wards for absolutely nothing.
I was going to say, Dom, because my awareness is that of someone who's played 30 games, I thought Bounty might have actually been in some trouble there in the Viper, till you see the zap of the Nether Ward come in. It's like, oh, there's backup.
Yeah, we're going to see so much action now. I mean, S.M.G are in position right now where they've got the upper hand, and they've got the items and the damage output now that the stuns and the holds from Vegetable Fish Fizz just aren't going to sway them. And it's really unfortunate it went this way. I think VFF had a fantastic early start, but they need to be able to get these heroes together. They need to get S.M.G grouped up together. They need to not get too excited about trying to take out, say, the Weaver straight away, because the Viper is actually more dangerous in this situation. I mean, Weaver does output a lot of damage, but Weaver, with the time-lapse ability, has the strength to be able to keep them focused on her for a long period of time, and chasing that Weaver for a long period of time throughout a team battle just means that Venom and Viper can combination that beautiful poison damage and take down your teammates from behind, and you really can't afford to lose your Shadow Shaman and Naga
bottom lane,
Siren.
we can see Viper Strike going to go off on Dolly. Chakram will do absolutely nothing there, as the bottom tower, no, it hasn't actually just fallen just yet, but it is taking more and more damage. Bounty going to be tanking up the creeps and smashing them with the corrosive skin. Plague Ward's going to be continuing the push there, as Magnus gets the teleport forward, does absolutely nothing with it, as, oh, actually no, Undying did die, so they got something out of it, but Undying going to get a kill from the zombies there. Song of the Siren will end up going off, but it misses most of the Chinese girls as they continue to push the tower there. Bounty comes in to finish that one off. The bottom tower looking very weak as well. Only one piece of infrastructure left for the Thailand Vegetable Fish Fizz girls, and it is looking very weak. The tier 3 in the mid going to be falling lower and lower as well, as Call Down Missile will go off. The first damage one goes off. The slow will be coming down now. Won't do too much of anything. Chakra, I'm not going to do too much. Face Boots finished up by the Undying, and the push going to continue from the submachine gun girls.
Yeah, I mean, Pugna, like, I know that we talk a lot about the Viper Venom combo and how fantastic it is, but Pugna here really playing such a massive role because they don't really have any heroes that can easily take out that Nether Ward. I mean, we see Nagasiren's Illusions doing it there. That was beautifully picked off. But I mean, besides Shadow Shaman, they don't have a lot of ranged heroes to take out any wards that are placed down in a very tricky position. And Dolly, being a little overconfident here, she's going to get herself attacked here multiple times. She's not going to be able to push in after this. She's going to have to go back and heal that Viper poison. Way too strong.
Okay.
Needs to not be too greedy.
Giant camp of Plague Wards down here. Lena going to take the bottom tower down. Yeah, like you said, the Nether Ward gets picked off, despite being protected by a bunch of Plague Wards. The Siege Minion going to run up and do some damage to the tier 3 in the mid here. The Weaver has taken down the last structure outside of the Thai girls' base here. Going to continue pushing forward. Does the Pugna have his life drain? He does indeed. There was an Ag Scepter picked up by the Viper. What does that do for Viper Streak? Decreases mana cost and cooldown. Increases cast range. That's going to be key, I think. I mean,
I have a Radiance recipe on the Weaver now. That one's going to be brutal. As soon as that one gets out to the Weaver, that it's just on top of everything else, on top of the Venom damage, on top of the Viper damage, just the constant output waves of hurt this team can produce is just ridiculous. But they're putting themselves in a situation now that might actually play off to the favor of VFF. If they can get away from this Viper here, Nagasiren, she needs to get away. She needs to net this Viper and keep moving. Not going to be able to. Viper picking them off. This is not ideal.
Oh,
the RP from Magnus. There's just no follow-up from her team. She's going to go down super quick. This Viper is just unstoppable. Picking people off.
Right, click to victory, says Bounty on the Viper. Going to use the Vanguard to great effect, taking no damage. Their Radiance has been finished by Lena, who does not have the time lapse. The mid tier 3 will now go down. The ward's actually doing a fair bit of damage to the Weaver there from the Shadow Shaman, but not enough. As, I think someone disconnected.
It's so unfortunate there. I mean, the situation that S.M.G was at when they're pushing up, that was really when Vegetables had the chance to show what their team could pull off. See how they're clumped up right now? That's really what they were looking for. They were looking for them to push up on the high ground and put themselves in a situation where Magnus could blink in, RP, skewer them back. We could have seen a cooldown come in. We could have seen a beautiful song, a couple of nets going out. I mean, that would have been the ideal situation. But unfortunately, that Viper pushed in early, setting herself up between the mid and the top towers so she could just pick people up as they tried to come in. And of course, we saw what happened when the Magnus tried to initiate.
Yeah, he had to use his skewer to disengage the first time. He went back in as soon as the cooldown was up, but died before she could even get it off there. The top barracks going to be falling lower and lower. The mega creeps in the mid going to continue pushing the melee racks at the top down. Range soon to follow. The tier 3 at the bottom looking pretty healthy, but not against the sieging potential of S.M.G. The Plague Wards just doing so much here at being able to hold their position, and they're going to go straight for the bottom part here. The tombstone goes off and gets some zombies going out there. As the tower going to whack away at Lena on the Weaver, able to take that up quite easily. Sync's going to be fighting off the zombies there. Bounty going to be whacking away at the tower, and Snare goes off. Flesh Golem gets popped. Homing Missile going to arm itself and fly off over after the Viper. Will it be enough? Doesn't look like it, as call down missiles used to try and disengage for now. Viper Strike goes off onto Dolly. The tower falling lower and lower, but they're going to go away from it. Magnus going to charge for Blink forward. Actually does a really nice charge. Poison Nova will go off as the Magnus will fall. Pugna buys back in time to get back in. I'm not sure if Weaver went down there. He did actually, and so does the Venomancer. So S.M.G have actually lost 3 in this engage. They have brought back on everyone. Boots of Travel going to be finished by Pugna. He will be able to rejoin this one instantly. And GG's get called.
Oh, that was so unfortunate for Green Bean. We saw absolutely the perfect RP here on that bot lane, clumping the enemy together. If only Timbersaw and Gyrocopter had been there to follow through, but unfortunately the damage had already been dealt. S.M.G just too brutal in the end, and the GG is called, with this game going to the #1 team, S.M.G girls, holding their victory, holding their lead. Are they unstoppable? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the Thai girls were doing really well until they went in sequentially and died about 8 times all up. I feel like that was the turning point of the game.
I think the strategy they had, the idea that they had was very, very sound. I think their picks were absolutely beautiful. They knew they were going up against an incredibly brutal damage team coming into that mid to late game, and they acted early. They moved around, they ganked early, they utilized the stun rotation very, very nicely. But unfortunately, just like you said, there's a couple of deaths early on, especially, from the Viper, that gave the Viper the upper hand. I mean, it's just such a tricky style of Dota to play, because if you do lose out to that Viper even twice, that Viper's just going to get out of control, and that's what we saw right there. And really, it was that damage from the Viper Veno combination and the beautiful, beautiful Netherward placements by the Pugna, making sure that VFF could not do anything about taking it out. I mean, the Shadow Shaman, I don't think could even see it half the time, let alone remove it. Just so well played by S.M.G.
Okay, so thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We very much appreciate it. That is two all-female Dota 2 Southeast Asian online tournament. That's a mouthful, finally got it out there. That myself and Tamika have casted tonight. We'd be very happy to do more. We'll let you know when that's going on. If you head on over to the GameStar Facebook, we will let you know when we schedule some, not only the female Dota 2, but some Cybergamer as well. And of course, once we get into the Counter-Strike Global Offensive casts, I'm sure Dom will be on top of letting you know about that one. Have you any parting words?
No, I just really appreciate everyone's support. I want to say thank you for allowing me to join in on this Dota 2 cast, despite being quite a newbie at not only the game, but casting as well. So all the experience is greatly appreciated. And a wonderful shout out to all the women in this event. It's so much respect and so much pride in watching you guys play. And I hope that you all join us again in the near future for more casts.
Alright, this is Coldblood and Damika signing out.